Ever since I was a kid, I've heard this one line from my parents. Do more when things are good, and read more when life throws you a curveball.
Welcome to Eat, Play, Heal with Yoki.
Looking back, it's crazy to think that it's been 4 years since the pre-pandemic days. From not being able to leave the country, to not being able to leave the city, neighborhood, and even the apartment. I even forgot you cannot bring water through airport security when I hopped on a plane again. Feels like a different lifetime. Dealing with this kind of life curveball, no matter how much you focus on staying healthy and positive, being completely anxiety-free and chill is just impossible. Over these 4 years, a lot of things fell apart. Work, social life, friends, everything that required putting in effort went down the drain. So, what did I do during these 4 years? Well, I studied, looked inward, read stuff I was genuinely interested in, not just for the sake of it. Back in the busy days, I didn't have the energy to read books that would actually benefit me. This time, after a 4-year pause, I finally stepped out again. Instead of going all out on a vacation, I enrolled in a short-term language school for 5 weeks in Japan. And let me tell you, I truly felt why they say studying is a form of healing. I won't bore you with the usual benefits. In our class, there were only 3 students, and we had the luxuries to have 2 teachers taking turns. One was this older, cool teacher who knew all these quirky details about Japanese culture. The other was a younger teacher who had studied in Beijing and Canada, majored in Chinese and English, self-taught Korean, planning a gap year in Australia, and currently picking up Spanish. Both the teachers could handle any conversation with us. As for classmates, one was a Korean cargo ship sailor who'd practically seen every global port, and the other was a mom of 4 from the Kyrgyz ethnic group settled in Kobe. Our backgrounds, cultures, experiences are completely different and mysterious to each other. Yet, we all shared a similar curiosity. And surprisingly, our Japanese levels were pretty much on par, just enough to get by. For 3 hours every day, we'd brainstorm, use gestures, guess, and use our limited Japanese to ask all sorts of questions, discussing different experiences and perspectives, trying to understand each other more. After 5 weeks, our body language and the vocal skill were top-notch. The teachers and classmates were all cheerful and interesting people. After a month of classes, I even laughed so hard that my jaw almost hit the floor. And for several days, I couldn't even eat properly. And when it was time to part ways, it hit me that it's been ages since I've had such intense daily questioning. Sure, I've met a ton of people in society, but having friends who bombard you with questions every day, almost knowing everything about each other, that's been missing for a long time. And here's the kicker. No one gave half-hearted answers due to language barriers. Instead, every soul-touching question was carefully thought out, trying to express the most genuine answers in the simplest language that we can manage. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how rare the experience was. But here's the twist. The Kyrgyz mom living the 3 days fishing, 2 days drying nets mantra was doing it involuntarily. But I guess we can all imagine. 4 kids means something urgent every week. Either a sick child, a teacher calling parents, her husband overwhelmed and needing help. So, showing up for class 3 days a week was a win already for her. And during a short month, even twice she had to leave mid-class because of a call. And because of her unique ethnic and religious background, the Japanese teachers didn't strictly enforce the no phone rule during class for her. Whenever her phone rang, she had to step outside to answer immediately. At first, when we weren't close, I kind of felt this kind of marriage and lifestyle was a bit sad. And I felt bad that she has to miss so much classes. I wondered if coming to class had become a burden to her. But as we chatted more, I realized that For her, class was a form of relaxation and adjustment. For instance, after missing 2 days of class, when she came back, it was like she'd been holding back, and her language abilities would explode for an hour, at least, talking nonstop. And every day she came to class, she would first look tired, but as soon as the conversation started, she'd become animated. And being a Muslim woman from the Kyrgyz community, she had many rules in her daily life, such as covering her head and not exposing any part of her body. However, when she came to school, she would dress up seriously to socialize. At the beginning of class, she seemed dignified, but as the conversation progressed and she became happier, her entire posture relaxed and she would burst into laughter. One day, we felt like continuing our chat even after 3 hours, and she could barely squeeze out an hour, so we continued the conversation at a coffee shop after class. We ended up in a retro cafe filled with Japanese grandpas and grandmas, and since the Kyrgyz classmate couldn't speak English, Japanese became our only means of communication. Surprisingly, the two of us, as total Japanese beginners, chatted for a whole hour, feeling that time passed quickly. Later, she even asked an old Japanese lady from the next table to take a photo of us for memory. However, when her husband scanned through her phone and saw the photo a few days later, he was not happy and complained, saying he was busy with work and questioning how she could have time to have coffee with friends. So when she came to class again, she complained about her husband to us. However, later, her husband also found the class atmosphere interesting from her everyday after-class stories told to him. So eventually, he himself plans to join the class next semester. Yet she said, "My husband only knows Japanese hiragana. His level is too low. Sensei, please don't let him be in the same class with me." And our teacher nodded knowingly and said, "Yes, of course. If he is in the same class as your husband, you won't be able to improve." We all laughed, realizing that indeed, if he were in the same class, we wouldn't be able to have free-flowing and unrestrained conversations with the Kyrgyz mom anymore. When the 5-week course ended, the Kyrgyz mom personally mentioned that coming to class every day was so enjoyable. The few hours without her husband and children felt like a vacation for herself, so it was so healing for her. And I felt the same way. After these 5 weeks of classes, laughing every day until my face hurt, I finally feel that the tightened body and mind over the past 4 years have been nourished. My body has loosened up and my thinking has expanded again. The person I used to be has returned. Studying as a form of healing suits me perfectly. And I've realized that I'm no longer afraid of the ups and downs of life. This method can accompany me for a lifetime. And lastly, let me share a few memes from people who are learning Japanese too. Let's all appreciate the joy of studying together. Join me as we learn how to apply the principles of TCM to our everyday lives and live a happier, healthier life. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.